We'd like to show viewers who have not seen this, though. In 2016, we had gone to the constituency to do what we call a constituency watch. This is just 1 minute of what we did in 2016. And let's have a look at me standing on the Osu Oxford Street, introducing the program in March 2016. So here is the Klottey Korle constituency. Where we are standing right now is in the center of Osu, which is the first ever commercial suburb in Ghana. And to my right is the famous middle-class restaurant called Appiah. And ahead of me is the road that leads to the Osu Castle, the seat of government for the colonial authority, and until recently, the seat of government of the President of Ghana. To my right is a place called Cuckoo Hill, where incidentally our former president, J.E.A. Mills, had his office for a very, very long time. And behind me is the famous Osu Oxford Street, which until recently was a famous street for entertainment and business. And down to the left-hand side is the Laboni area in an estate named Nyaniba Estates. Nyaniba is the name of the mother of the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So all of this history put together and the current presentation of the Klottey Korle constituency makes it particularly important in the analysis, whether it's business, whether it's political history, whether it's a mixture of tribes in Ghana, or whether it's about politics. Now, what's happening in Klottey Korle in this election? The controversy is brewing, and it's brewing very fast. The two political parties, the main political parties, the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party, both have such huge interest in the candidates that are contesting for them that there's been so much controversy about the matter. The latest is that within the New Patriotic Party, the candidate who won the first primaries and lost the second. Okay, so we faded a sound out there. You can go on Facebook and look at video on demand and get it if you want. But that's 4 years ago. Some of it is relevant. Some of it has dramatically changed. And Prince Adai is here to tell us. Prince Appiah Debrah is here to tell us the changes that have occurred. You've done very well in uniting the NPP since the event of 2016. Even though your name didn't come up then, suddenly you have put the parties together, and the NPP is not going to have a independent candidate on the ballot. Certainly at this time. That's very good. Tell us the history of that. Who's the first MP of Klottey Korle?
That's going to be very interesting. I'll try to be as brief as possible.
Yes.
Korle Klottey. I think the name used to be called Osu Klottey. But before it was Osu Klottey, it was part of Accra East constituency. And before it was part of Accra East, it was part of the Accra Central municipal election.
Accra Central.
Accra Central.
So in, say, 1951.
So in 1951.
It was part of Nkrumah's constituency.
It was part of Nkrumah's constituency.
Oh, I see. That was a large constituency.
It was a large.
From Accra, Odododio.
From Odododio.
Up to Osu.
Osu included Labadi and Teshi. All was part of Accra.
All was part of Nkrumah's constituency?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
It was big.
So Teshi and Nungwa were the other ones?
Yes.
I see. That's interesting.
So,
and the CPP cleaned it up?
CPP did.
Yeah.
Nkrumah went against Obeche Bilamte,
yes.
blessed memory, and he won.
Yeah.
And then in the 1954 elections, it became Accra East. And it was won by Akwaje, Ebenezer Akwaje.
Yes, the Interior Minister.
The Interior Minister.
The big six Akwaje.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then...
That's a big name.
It's a big name.
Yeah.
Akwaje won again in 1960.
I see.
And by 1964, we have a one-party state. Nkrumah was overthrown in 66. So in 1969, when we had the second Republican elections, it became Osu Klottey.
Osu Klottey.
And that was the first time it became a separate constituency.
Okay.
And it was called Osu Klottey. The man who won that election was Henry Romulus Sawyer, popularly called Harry Sawyer.
Oh, Harry Sawyer?
Yes.
For which party?
And he won it as an independent.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes. Harry Sawyer was an independent candidate?
Yes, he was the
He wasn't an Nkrumahist?
He started with the Ghana Congress Party, Ayubuzia's party. And then by twist of some fate, he ended up as an independent candidate. And he won overwhelmingly.
So this was Osu Klottey?
This was Osu Klottey in 1960.
Which area? The same area we have today?
The same area.
Did it include Adabraka?
It included Adabraka.
Okay. Asalam Down?
Asalam Down.
So Asalam Down, Adabraka, and Osu itself?
Yes.
Okay. All of Osu? Osu Ari, Osu Kadigbo?
Osu Ari, it used to come all the way to Cantonment.
Somewhere around this area?
Yes, ended up around Cantonment Post Office. So it used to be
Cantonment Post Office, which is now part of Dade Kotopong.
Not, which is now part of Dade Kotopong.
Okay.
And it came all the way to the back of the veterinary.
Oh, yes.
Near the large general hospital area.
Okay.
So it used to be much bigger.
That also is part of Dade Kotopong these days.
It's now part of Dade Kotopong.
Okay.
So Arisoya is actually the grandfather of Klortey Korle politics, or Osu Klortey politics. And in 1979,
so he won it in 69.
He won it as an independent
candidate. So he sat in parliament as an independent candidate.
As an independent candidate, the first independent candidate who won an election in Ghana. So at this point, I think we have to say, extend our sympathies to Mrs. Esther Sawyer,
who just passed
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So our sympathies to the Sawyer family. Now, in 79, that is the Third Republic, Arisoya came again. This time for the UNC, United Nations Convention, which was
Peter Ajete's party.
Peter Ajete was there.
Professor Dubois.
Professor Dubois.
Interesting.
The presidential candidate was Pawili, William Ofori.
Alhaji Mahama Idrisu.
Alhaji Mahama Idrisu.
Obeda Samoa.
Thank you. So he came in.
These were the kingpins of the UNC.
And he won overwhelmingly again. I mean, we used to sing when we were little kids. Arisoya Odinfene. Osu Klortey Anyonseda. In other words,
what does that mean?
It means you are clean. Osu Klortey will follow you all the time.
Okay.
And we used to sing that as kids. So this is the genesis of Osu Klortey as a constituency.
Okay.
Now, in the Fourth Republic, it showed up for the first time as Klottey Korle.
In 92?
In 92.
Okay.
The name changed from Osu Klortey to Klottey Korle. Now, Klottey is a lagoon at Osu, and Korle is another lagoon at Accra. It lies within Odo.
Yeah.
The area we call Lavender Hill. So these two lagoons, in Gan custom, Klottey is the male deity and Korle is the female deity.
I see.
And when they pair the two, they call it Klottey Korle.
Okay.
And it covers what we now have at Osu, Tudu, going all the way to the estuary, i.e. Odo River, and then cuts across the railway line to Circle, back to Nyeniba Estate. Laboni.
Oh, Klortey Korle goes to Kwame Nkrumah Circle?
Goes to Kwame Nkrumah Circle. The rail
because
line.
Adabraka is part of it. Okay,
exactly.
Okay, yeah.
The rail line comes to Kwame Nkrumah Circle, the Dubai, and then comes straight on Ring Road to Nyeniba Estate. You turn right into where they sell the wachi, Kataudia,
yeah.
and then comes across back to the sea.
So the border is Dade Kotopong.
The border.
And the border is Ododo.
The border is Dade Kotopong, Ododo, and Ayawaso Central, Ayawaso East.
Oh, that's still a big constituency.
It is a big constituency.
So who won it in 92?
In 92, it was won by E.W. Naughty. E.W. Naughty was the NDC candidate at the time, and he was an Arisoya protege.
Okay.
And like I said, anybody Arisoya brings to Klottey Korle wins.
Okay.
So Arisoya brought him in and he won. And at that time, the NPP was represented by Osalutron, Colonel Osalutron, who was ADC to former head of state, General Ankra.
Okay.
But if you remember, in those times, the first elections in the Fourth Republic, the presidential elections were held first, and the results didn't go well. So we had a stolen verdict, and NPP boycotted the parliamentary elections. So E.W. Naughty had a walk-in. So that was in 92. Then in 96, it was a three-way race between the NPP's candidate, Gilbert Quartey, David Lamte of blessed memory.
My man, David Lamte.
Who used to be an NPP man in a way.
Yeah,
because we was with him during Kumipreku.
Yes.
And then Torkuno went independent in 96. Now, Torkuno was the NDC chairman at the time.
Of the constituency?
Yes.
I see.
And he was the parliamentary candidate, elected, and then they brought in David Lamte and asked him to step down. And he said no. So that's how he ended up as an independent.
So it was NDC independent?
It was NDC independent.
David Lamte was NDC legal?
NDC legal.
Then there was an MPP?
Then there was an MPP.
And David Lamte still won it?
He won it. It was a very close race. I think all
Did
the
Torkuno
candidates...
come second?
Torkuno was
the
last.
MPP came second?
MPP came second.
Okay.
They all had 17,000 at a point.
I see.
They all
during the counting?
During the counting, they all had 17,000, and it was
just a few numbers.
Small numbers, until David Lamte shot through with some additional 2,000 votes or so. It was quite interesting. I was at the Art Center at the time.
So David Lamptey ended up with 19,000.
Yes.
And he won it.
And he won it.
To a big celebration.
To a big celebration.
I remember that.
It was quite something else.
Yeah.
Because everybody thought Korle was going to win.
Yes,
he had a very massive campaign.
Yeah.
There was money. And
a lot of money in that campaign.
And they threw out a lot of money.
I always say that if that campaign had been filmed, it would have been massive.
Oh, no.
Because the campaign activity that even as students we saw was brutal every day on a daily basis.
No joke.
The broom here and this there.
Yeah.
You know.
Moko Sani. It was massive.
And the mayor of Accra, E.T. Mensah, was heavy on David Lamptey's side.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of machinations going on.
Exactly. A lot of things went on. So
that was 96.
It's not the size of the campaign.
Yeah.
And
Klottey
that was
Korle.
96. I think Korle eventually came back to the NDC before he passed.
Yeah.
They gave him a massive burial in 2000. Then in 1920, in 2000, Honorable Adom-Otchere came on board. And he swept off David Lamptey with almost 9,000 plus votes. That was the biggest margin ever, and it's still the case. The biggest margin in Klortey Korley parliamentary elections was when Honorable Adom-Otchere swept off David Lamptey with 9,000 votes. And then he came on, he was able to hold the seat for 2 terms. And then in 2008, he was swept off by Niaz Chitiama, who won with about just a little over 2,600 votes.
That was 2008.
That was 2008.
Okay.
So again, Chitiama came in again with a little over 1,200 votes, and then he was swept off by Zanator Rawlings.
In the primaries?
In the primaries.
Okay.
So
and then 2012, what happened? Chitiama won in 2012. So this 2016 you are talking about?
So 2016.
And NPP got divided with Philip Addison and
Philip Addison and Inwe Northe.
So when did you come in?
I came in recently.
Why did you come in?
I thought and I felt very strongly that the party needed a non-aligned candidate. The Klottey Korle constituency, as we have it then, was divided into 3 camps. So you had an Inwe camp, which was very strong. Even though he went independent, his camp is still very strong. And then you have the Philip Addison camp. And then you have the Honorable Niaje Tarius camp. So these 3 camps was pushing for power. And if we continue that way, we're going to remain in opposition for a very long time. And so that is where I felt compelled to step forward, because I did not belong to any of those 3 factions, to come in and unite the party. So if you looked at the primaries, all we kept preaching was unity. And the catchphrase was the unifier. And we were able to do that very successfully. We won with 67% of the vote during
the primaries.
At the primaries.
Oh, I see. That's massive.
And that is the biggest margin we've had in the primaries election in Klottey Korle. And it's because the delegates responded to our message, our call for unity, and the need to get united so that we can reclaim the seat. Because if you looked at the numbers, we lost by less than 900 votes.
Yeah.
Total.
And President Akufo-Addo actually won.
And President Akufo-Addo won by more than 5,000 votes. So we actually gave away the seat in 2016. If sanity had prevailed a little bit, we would have gone through it. And so we are not going to repeat that mistake. We are now united, and we thank God that the party is now united behind Prince Appiah Debrah, and we are going to take this.
Who are you? Are you an indigene from Osu with this your Akan names, Prince Appiah Debrah?
Yes, my name is very Akan, Prince Appiah Debrah, but I was born and raised at Osu. My mother is Ghana from Osu. Both her parents are from Osu. Her mother is from Adokwewe, her father is from Odate Strongway. And I was born at Osu Ajumanko, raised from kindergarten, we call it ABC. From kindergarten all the way to law school, I stayed at Osu Ajumanko. So I know the place pretty well, and they know me. I can say very confidently that the spirit of Osu is behind me, and we are going to win the seat massively. Because at this point, we are not only talking about winning the elections at Klottey Korle. We are talking about fighting for the soul of the party in Klottey Korle. And I saw what you just showed on the constituency in 2016, talking about all the big people who led the fight for independence in Ghana, Nekwabna Bone, Oswala Tamancha at the time, J.B. Dankwa, Kwekuba Kun, Pargrand, all those big names, Akwaje, all those people lived at Osu. Osu was the boiling point in the struggle for independence. As a matter of fact, Mrs. Dove, I think J.B. Dankwa married her.
Yes, David Dankwa's wife. Yes.
The first female journalist in this country. It's also from the constituency. And so this is a constituency that is rich in history. In fact, a big man told me it was the intellectual capital of the country. And it still remains the prima donna of all the constituencies in Ghana. And it will do the NPP a lot of good. If we took it
we'll
back.
come to the constituency on our constituency watch, and we'll talk to you again, Prince Appiah Debrah, Honorable Prince Appiah Debrah.